Wrong one. All right, give me a second. Looks like we are good to go. Just double checking a couple things, waiting for some people to get in here. Where's the accidentally canceled out of the come on now. I accidentally canceled out of YouTube's control room, it's called. Just making sure we are official. All right, there we go. And show the comments there, Streamlabs. No, don't show that. First says Jake, yo, can hear you. Good. What's good, Ronnie? What's going on, guys? We're going to kind of BS a little bit, a few minutes. Let me get the links sent out, and then we will get started with today's update. This is for the new hot independent zombie comic with a fresh voice and some fresh artwork from James Milne in the UK. Since he's in the UK and I was busy today, I'm starting a little later. We will have him on. We're going to be doing live streams and videos, some comic reviews. I was torn where I was going to put them because originally I was convinced this channel moving forward would only be flaw in all reviews, but I think there's a couple things that I always meant to keep on the channel, which would be Doomsday Kingdom. Obviously, it is after all, it is a product that is created under the MakePath Presents umbrella. Hence why on the cover, it even has the MakePath Presents logo, because it's produced by MakePath Presents. Anyhow, now let's wait a few more minutes and we'll get into it, but I want to explain or go over what hitting the goal means. And speaking of hitting the goal, I honestly thought that it would take us till the very last few days to hit the goal. I am through the roof excited because now I'm convinced we might be able to hit that 7K goal, which, if you don't know how Indiegogo works, is how it usually works. I think the standard is they put stretch goals, which means they'll tell you if we make it to this number, like, for example, if we make it to 7K, we're giving out free these foil plated bookmarks that look incredible. Here they are down here. That's usually the standard. Oh my God, these gold, foil plated bookmarks are incredible. I forget the technical term, but that's how they usually run Indiegogo, with stretch goals. So you meet that and you move forward, you meet that and you move forward. But we're kind of doing a combination where we teased the 7K stretch goal, but we're doing upgrades where we already know in our heads if we get to 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10. We have these little upgrades that we would like to make it in there. Now, we also knew, since this is a combination of the single comics that we already released, we also knew the volume would not sell nowhere near as good as the floppy comics, which I think when we were, first coming out with the floppy comics, I think it was, had we just gone with the volume at first, we probably would have matched. But because there's a certain amount of people that really enjoy the single floppies with individual covers and yada yada yada, as opposed to those who are okay or more patient to wait and then get a good chunk of story. I like the floppies for the artwork and to read it to keep up with the story. But when it comes to rereading or reading in big chunks, I love the collected volumes. So yeah, we are fully funded now that we got a few people in here. And I am going to try, or at least the plan today was try to do 2 back-to-back streams. I still have a couple little vids. I might just do a piece of my live stream from The Last of Us gameplay and upload that instead of editing a new vid, because I went back and looked, and besides tweaking what I said a bit, the one video kind of still has purpose. So I don't know. We'll see what I can make work tonight. But if we do just do a little quick stream about hitting our goal here, we will probably follow up with a little gaming stream just to touch base with some more stuff going on. Anyhow, thank you very much, John. Richard, appreciate that, homie. Jake, thank you. Take a walk with me. Hell yeah. Appreciate that. Kian, thank you very much. Hitting the $5,500 goal means we are sticking with or upgrading, I should say, the premium paper quality. So right here it says the first upgrade at 5,500 is the paperweight. So all backers, that's every single backer, will receive their purchased copy of Doomsday Kingdom, copy or copies, with 100-pound premium paper, excuse me, for that high-end finish. And I did do a little tests. I actually had the printing company send over some samples, and I did test other other comics that were released and stuff. And you can absolutely tell. I think we use 80 in the floppy comics. So if you do have one of our floppy comics in hand, if you feel the paper quality, I mean, it's official. It doesn't like crinkle up like that real thin. I think like 60 and 70 is hella thin. I might even be thinking of thinner than that, because I got a comic recently that was so thin, I shit you not, I was nervous turning the pages, and it was like a high up there book. It wasn't like, some independents coming out doing something. This was something that was established. And that's why I get frustrated when you hear people say, oh yeah, Comicsgate should stop selling books for a certain amount of money because I can go buy this wildly mass-produced book for $20 that has hundreds of pages in it. And it's like, bro, you have no logic if that's what you're thinking, because first off, they are probably paying 40 cents a copy. We're paying dollars, dollars, and you know what I mean? Like, we're paying anywhere from, like, for example, the floppy comics, we were paying $3 to $4 just to print them, and we were selling them for $4. So with the volumes, we got estimates anywhere from like $15 to $25 just to print the, obviously we didn't go with the $25 jump off, but that is based on the amount. So if we get 50 copies made, 100 copies made, we're not going to pay the same amount as these big companies that print tens of thousands of copies. If you print, 80,000 copies of your volume, you're probably going to pay $1 a pop. So no shit, you can sell it for $20 a pop and make mad profit. Like, but we're not doing that. Me and many others on Indiegogo, especially, we're paying, half or a little over half of what we're selling for. Again, I don't know everyone's, but I'm just saying it's definitely around there. The majority of them are probably paying more than half of what they're selling it for. And again, there's other costs and fees and all that get eat up in there. So it's just different. That's why I personally have no problem. This was, I don't know the value, but I personally helped support some more independents. This is College of the Dead, still in demand on Indiegogo. I believe if you order it now, it ships right out there. This is created by Adam Post. I'm actually going to be reviewing it coming up. And I had no problem saying, all right, it is only 48 pages. I forget what the price was. Forgive me. I think it was like $25. I'm almost positive, because that's the standard on Indiegogo right now, or the most common. $25 for about 48 pages. And I had no problem doing that, because I know that what they're paying for the printer is nowhere near these bigger companies, and you're getting fresh voices, and you control who makes it or not. I only made it to the volume because hundreds and hundreds of other, well, actually a little over 1,000 individual people decided it was great to purchase the floppy comics.
Actually, this week
you can't get that lid on. I had a trouble.
Closed.
Yeah, I had a problem with that earlier. Excuse me a second. So, holy crap! I think I'm what is this? What is this plastic, man? It's made out of. It's fighting me, yo. For real. It just threw a punch. Here. Wow, that's ridiculous. All right.
That part of my tongue's burning.
Really? All right. Well, we'll check it in a minute. Maybe scratched it on some chips. Did you eat your cheese puff, Seth? Okay, good. Okay, so let me hit up some comments. We got some donos come in. Lindell with a $5 dono. Thank you very much, homie. I appreciate that. Jordan Brothers with a $2 dono. I don't know what's better, joining Patreon or your YouTube. You know what? Patreon would be. Anyone officially, because Patreon helps support the Make a Path Presents channel. Mainly the Flaw and Awe is that's our top priority moving forward series, but it also supports the Ronnie Hayes channel, which is when I get weeks where I can stream a game every day or something, we'll kick it. I have raw uploads. Now that The Last of Us Part 2 is done, you're going to be seeing more of that because I had a really awkward schedule leading into The Last of Us Part 2. But and on top of that, in a way, the Patreon does in fact help me overall work on my comic Doomsday Kingdom, because I have everything in under one roof with Patreon. That kid, I love her to death, but she leaves my door open all the time, and her cat comes in here, and that cat is not allowed in here. Anyhow, so the Patreon right now would be like the absolute best way if somebody wanted to jump in for support wise, because it does everything in a nutshell. I was trying my absolute best to have that little horror short story done for the end of the year. I might just release it as the one short. It was going to be an anthology where it had 2 or 3 shorts in it. Instead of rushing it and kind of, sloppily putting together a few of the other stories and the finishing touches, I might just keep it as the one main one, because lately I've been going over some polish on that. And I think it needs a little more time. Just hitting certain notes. I hate when objects fight back. Lindell says he just donated before. I think he forgot to put a comment. Oh, Jordan Brothers, thank you very much for the support too, and for even thinking of supporting on Patreon. Thank you. Hello, Ronnie. I've been a fan since the beginning. Question: have you had the chance to watch Blood Quantum? It's a zombie movie with a twist. Keep up the work, buddy. Yes, I did watch Blood Quantum. I was really intrigued in the beginning, and I pretty much lost total interest by the end of it. I would have to do like a full-on review in order to identify where it went wrong for me personally. T-Ray says, are you gaming today? Well, the plan was I was going to go over The Last of Us Part 2 New Game Plus today, which I think is a fantastic tool, and to do some final thoughts with The Last of Us Part 2, because I did go in and listen to some of the thoughts and opinions of the creators, but I think my official review is my final overall thoughts by letting it simmer. It is by far the one of the best video games I have ever played in my life, while simultaneously being one of the absolute worst sequels that I've ever played in my entire life. And I know Neil Druckmann and Troy Baker and even Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie, have, more love for these characters than we do. One is Joel and the other created Joel. I understand that as a creator myself, and knowing what some of my characters go through, given the fan base isn't that big and we're not established yet, as far as me understanding fully how some of y'all feel about some of the characters, which is why support in Volume 1 is important, because once we can really get into the fun stuff with Volume 2, we get more into character work in Volume 3. That's really, really interesting. So, but I listened to them, and there's 2 things that stood out to me as kind of being out of touch a bit with Neil. Was not prepared for the type of backlash he would get for the decisions that he made. The big decision, I won't put spoilers here, but the big decision early on in the game. And that thing stood out to me in a big way. And there was something else he said that stood out to me in a big way, where it was like, I think it was just tunnel vision, where they had this idea, and Last of Us Part 2 honestly felt like it should have been a Part 3, and the fans were robbed of the real Part 2. the more I think about it, the more I break it down. There's a lot in there I love. And I even sat back and thought, you know what? If this was a part 3, I would probably be gobbling it up because we could have had what should have organically been part 2 that we didn't get. And I think that's why fans are flipping, because they were robbed of the part 2 that organically should have been there, you know. Anyhow, we'll get into that when I do that stream, if I do it after this one, 20 minutes after this one. Jordan says, okay, I will definitely do that, but I don't want to pay monthly and you get most of the money, because I know YouTube can be a pain and take most of it. If you go Patreon, I do get most of it, and I don't want to pay monthly and you not get most of the money. Yeah, YouTube takes the most. That's why I do say Patreon is, unfortunately, I because of their censorship, I would rather not have to use them. I know, once we get reestablished down the line, I am looking into my own individual thing where instead of going to Patreon, instead of doing YouTube, you can directly go to my site and support it. That's still in the works, though, as well as the website that I really wanted to do, but COVID kind of shot down those plans in a huge way, because I was supposed to take this job that was going to pay almost $20 an hour and shit was going to be sweet this year, and that totally blew up. So here we are, but we're digging up out of it. Caleb said, disappointing story in that game. We'll talk about it more. Can't wait till payday. I want to read Kingdom of Doomsday already. Yeah, that's a nice one. Doomsday Kingdom would be the definitive title, though. Last of Us 2 reminded me of something as well. I would absolutely love, and this is why I think it pains me so much to replay The Last of Us Part 2, is because the reason it's like one of the greatest video games, it has a lot to do with the atmosphere of the world and the gameplay. And as somebody who, that's my favorite environment to live in, is post-apocalyptic, a decade or two as the world's being overtaken. Visually, I find it breathtaking. People look at sunsets as, beautiful beautiful landscapes. I look at, a post-apocalyptic landscape with greenery all overgrown and broken streets and roads and highways or rubble. I look at that for some reason, and it just gives me this, like, that's my beautiful sunset. We don't have any other video game to play. There's nothing immersive in a video game where you can go in that environment. And don't tell me Fallout, because it doesn't come close. Don't tell me Dying Light, because it doesn't come close. Don't tell me any of these other, even Days Gone, which I absolutely love. It's not even close to the realism that The Last of Us has with its environments. And they don't have cities in Days Gone. And again, it's because it's open world. So for something where you can just go, Days Gone is incredible. But if you want to get in that environment, and I really want to be in that environment. And I was thinking, I want to get Doomsday Kingdom big enough so we can have even a small, tiny, but at least put us in that world that I think is visually amazing. So that way, maybe I can have a game that's not so painful to replay. I'm kidding. But Make a Path presents, how far are we away from getting the foil premium bookmarks? We are about $1,500, I think. Yeah, we're $1,500 away from the foil bookmarks. No, correction. We are, whatever that is, $1,360, if I'm doing my quick math right. $1,360 away from these beautiful bookmarks. So if you were hesitant, I should talk about this, because somebody did mention this before. They were waiting until we hit, because we started the Indiegogo, and I think we went right to 1,000 almost instantly, within minutes. And then around $2,000, we went for like 4 days without getting a single thing. And someone said, "Ooh, I'm nervous. I want to back it, but I don't want to back it until you're fulfilled. No offense." And I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine, because I got the Last of Us stream coming. At the time, I thought that would put us at 4K. And then after, I would be doing, these videos to bring us up into the 5K mark, but we already hit it. So for those waiting until we hit, just to clarify, this means we will go to print 100% with Doomsday Kingdom. That means that everyone who put in orders right now through Indiegogo, you will 100% receive a book. So for anyone who was like, or on the fence about, do I jump on this and not just receive a book? Adam, I hate to do this to you. I love you, brother. Go support College of the Dead, but not just receive the book. I want to show you an example. And this, no, I didn't check Richard's Jawbreakers. I didn't see how many pages his is, so I can't use his as an example, but Nailbiter is around like 120 pages or something last I counted, and we're at 128. So, the standard is usually about $25 for this big. Let me do this. I forgot we're on Streamlabs. We can do this, brother. Yeah, $25 for the standard on Indiegogo, $25 for that. We are selling you, whoops. They're blending in one. We're selling you the bottom one for $30. So $25 for the top is the standard. We're selling you $30 for the bottom one. Not only are we giving you over double of the standard, what's usually on Indiegogo, and again, it's not a slant because we know how difficult it is for others as well as ourselves to get this stuff out there, colored and artists and the print, the pages, the time, all that, sketching, inking, coloring, everything, lettering, the effects, all that. We just happen to have a completed volume ready to go because we've been putting out the comics for years. So we got double the standard, and you're not going to wait 6 months. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. You're not going to wait a year and a half. You're not waiting a year. You're not waiting 9 months. You're not waiting 6 months. We are trying to ship in 2 months, which means you pop your order in, we close out, and then we're going to put the campaign in demand for 30 days, and that's it. We're starting to ship, So we're hoping around the end of August, we can be like doing the celebration for shipments going out. And I would love to do it as soon as possible, but we're trying to predict out in case we hit any speed bumps along the way from the printer or anything else that may pop up because there's something. So like I said, the standard is usually around the smaller size, and you're waiting 6 months to a year. I will admit, College of the Dead, I don't know how long they were running their campaign for, but by the time I ordered, I waited like a month or two, and they closed the campaign and shipped within a month, I think. So this was fast. I think this was the quickest I've ever received a comic from Indiegogo, which was College of the Dead. So if you are interested, I told them to make posters of these too, because look at that shit. Sexy. Anyhow, so with Doomsday Kingdom, you will be receiving it relatively, no, that's not, there it is, relatively fast. No, I don't have an OnlyFans. Jordan's with a $5 dono. Thank you very much, homie. He said The Last of Us Part 2 is amazing graphics and gameplay, 10 out of 10 to me. Let me move this over here actually so I can read it on a better screen. There we go. Nice. That looks great. To me, makes up for the story too, and I'm still beating it on Abby, missing Ellie so much right now. Yeah, I'm missing Ellie a lot, man. Bitnova, would recommend backing the 2-volume tier. Oh, I would, I think you mean to say. One for me and one for a friend. Yeah, anyone that's out there and that's interested, let me slide this over so you got an image of some of the artwork to show off. I love this panel. But here's a real street in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. But we have a tier that's for two books, and you save $10 and shipping. So you save $10 on shipping, and you save $10 on the $5 on each book. So you save $20 if you just order 2 books at once. As opposed to like if someone bought 2 books separately, they would pay, 30 each. Anyhow, that's an awesome thing if somebody wants to jump in and buy something for a friend. Z-Train said, I think game felt forced agenda. Yeah, I don't mind gay characters, but I felt like it wasn't the story first. We're going to talk about that more in the follow-up video, because I do think that Joel, unfortunately, was a sacrificial character, definitely. And again, I don't believe Neil Druckmann is a bad person or he with this agenda. I think it was simply tunnel vision. He had something he wanted. There was something he's not allowed to do. And thank you very much to the chat. The chat corrected me. I didn't know where the term fridging came from. Such a stupid fucking term, man. But apparently it was from the comic books, not the TV shows. And it was actually in a Green Lantern book, if I remember reading that right. And that's where a bunch of sissy bitches cry when you kill off a gay character. Now, here's the thing. I'm sure in, movies, comics, TV shows, I'm sure there's plenty of gay characters that get killed off in a really stupid and pointless way for shock value, whatever it is. But just because you can say, oh, look at this one that got killed off for almost no reason, does not mean you have a problem within the industry. It's absolutely ridiculous, because it's a problem for anything when, bad writing is just bad writing. It's just fucking stupid. Anyhow, Lindell says, oh, nope, I scrolled up too far. Let's go. Congrats. Thank you very much. Doink the clown reveal. I think the clown's got a cool reveal in issue 5. Congrats, Ronnie and James. Looking forward to this. Did you say looming forward? Bro, my money got kicked back. From what? Indiegogo? Here's the thing with Indiegogo is they have their own service set up. We don't control any of the funds. So if you go to Indiegogo and they do a reject on your card or PayPal or something, was it a credit card? Because I have heard of that happening from time to time. I don't know if there's anything we can do on our end to fix it. It's not like our website where we deal directly with the third party. It's called Stripe, I'm pretty sure, or Strip, something like that. We can just, contact them, but we have to wait. With Indiegogo, I don't know what we would be able to do. Can't wait to have my hands on this. Congrats, Ronnie, my man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What do I say? I like your ideas for these comics because they are different than anything else. You can tell you care and aren't just copying other comics. It's 100% OG. Thank you very much, Jackass. That's something that I'm excited about, but also worried about, because Doomsday Kingdom originally was wildly serious, like straight down the line. Even as a comic book, when I knew I was going into it for a comic, it was kept super grounded, super it was on that really dark, gritty, and ultra realistic. However, going into the comic and seeing how The Walking Dead tries to keep that realism grounded, or at least it did at first, until we got really flamboyant characters. Now in the comic, it has a flair to it. Like you'll see zombies with, missing part of their body, and it's got a really cool visual. That's fine for a comic book, like an eye popping out when someone's face is getting shot off. So for a comic, I knew we would have panels that got a little bit, even in issue 5, there's a gore panel that is a little bit, it might not be realistic, but it's stylized for a comic book, the violence. Anyhow, it is supposed to be gory and brutal and set up this tension and threat. So it's done purposefully, but I wanted to ground it too much. And it was actually within playing The Last of Us over and over, the original Last of Us over and over again. So many people were talking about how Doomsday Kingdom, and this is around 2017, they were so focused on it being similar to The Walking Dead. And I was laughing because I was like, that's funny you say that. I'm worried about making it too similar to The Last of Us because of how the world is set up. In The Walking Dead, it seems like everyone is dead. Everyone is gone. There's no and then once in a while you run into communities. But with Doomsday Kingdom, the way, and eventually when we get there, the world is set up where you can travel and you find these pockets, and you still find pockets that are like military run and yada yada yada. You guys will eventually catch on when we get there and shit. So I was sitting there trying to make it as different different as possible, but keep true to the idea. So there will be times where you get comic stylized violence or action or reveals just because it is a comic book. You're supposed to have this type of style and fun and pull a certain visual pleasantry from, it's supposed to be visually appealing. Anyhow, even in the gore factor, even when something's gory, it's supposed to be like, oh man, that looks so cool, but that's gross, So story wise, I think volume 2, the way I set it up, it's like, okay, you have the volume 1 is very much, here is what you expect from the zombie genre. You have strangers meeting up, like the outbreak day is popping off, but we're also hinting that there's much more coming that is not at all what you would expect in the zombie genre. You know what? I did get kind of mad though. If you go and watch, what is it? Train to Busan presents Peninsula. I think, yeah, Peninsula. Why do I not say that word right? Anyway, if you go watch that trailer, for those who already read parts of Doomsday Kingdom, there's something in there where I was like, you better not do that, because that's literally what's in, it's part of volume 1, and it spills over into volume 2. So I was real annoyed with that, because I'm like, that was something that I didn't see them do in a zombie story, and I'm hoping that it's different, but we're already ahead of the game. It feels like we'll be out before Peninsula. So but I mean, my setup has been out already for months now, but the actual reveal is coming up in issue 6. Oh, you said doing OnlyFans. Sorry, I didn't read that right. I like the art of the comic. Thank you very much, Detective. James Milne does the art, and he is doing his absolute best to make it look better and better as he's going along, and he's getting really good at it. He originally was going to give up on art. He'll have to tell you about that when we get to it. He was originally giving up on art. Oh, shit, we got new... this is the only thing I don't like about StreamYards. They don't give you that notification for on my end for the donos, but I see it now. Sorry, we'll get to them now. But yeah, he was giving up on art, and then he got into Doomsday Kingdom, and now this is something that he's refining his skills with. And even on this page, for anyone that's new, this is called the Memories page, and it's actually stuff that will come up. In the very top, you see the rider walking away from a horde with a burning city in the background, and that's symbolic. Again, it is a memory. In the actual comic, it's somebody's memory. So you will see something similar with a burning city, a massive horde, and then the rider maybe, symbolically, that's what it is. Maybe leaving or exiting or escaping or fleeing from that reality. Then we have the clown within the next panel there, another person murdering another one, saying she's not there. Then we have the Doomsday Cowboy. I can't wait to get... The Doomsday Cowboy is actually modeled after Beta, believe it or not. Not Beta, but the actor playing Beta. I got so crushed when he was killed off of Sons of Anarchy. I was like, I'm putting an homage to him in the thing. So I took a character and modeled his looks after him. But that is like my ode to Opie, my little homage to Opie. So it was neat once he then got casted for Beta, because I was like, oh, it's kind of like the Doomsday Cowboy, because it's the trench coat, he's got the beard, it was modeled after Ryan Hurst, so that was real pleasant to come across. And then we got the casting for Beta, because it was like a little peek at what could have been. Then we got the Doomsday couple on top of the roof with zombie arms reaching up. We got a house burning with the rider, body bags. We got one of the robbers here. Then we got the Creeper King. And then he says, every kingdom needs a king. I cannot wait till we get to this moment. This is my Hodor moment here. I can't wait till we get to this. We showed off what the Creeper King looks like. And no, we don't have talking zombies. You will understand it when we get to that point. That's all I'm going to say. But that's my Hodor moment where I'm building up to something. I can't wait to pop in there. And I'm dying to know how you guys feel about it. Anyhow, the donos are coming in. Michael McMullen, McMahon, Hohen, McMahon. Why do I suck at names, yo? McMohan. How's that? Do I say your name right with a $10 dono? What's up, Ronnie? Any plans for July 4th? Also, my last name is McMahon. What the fuck is wrong with me? McMahon. I'm pronouncing so many letters that you ignore. All right, McMahon. That's easy enough. I'll remember that. July 4th is one of my second favorite holiday. My first is Halloween. Second is July 4th. And no, the only thing right now is going and watching fireworks. I know my family has bought some illegals and maybe lighting them off because there's not going to be any events going on. I don't know yet, but thank you very much for the dono, homie. And the Princess Pie coming in strong with a $50 dono. Hello, Ronnie. Hello, chat. Wanted to give you support. Your work and Love Pigeon's art are just beautiful, brilliant. I love every second reading your comic. I can't wait for the issue 5 in digital, but most of it to get that beautiful bookmark. Bisous. Did I say that right? Well, thank you very much, Princess Pie, coming in fly with a friggin' 50 bomb. I know, did I miss something? Oh, okay, no, I'm caught up. I know Princess Pie caught up with 4 issues digitally and then had purchased the physical floppies and also got a hold of the volume. So thank you very much for the massive support, Princess Pie. She's also somebody that is really excited for the story as it's unfolding. I got a message from her about what is up with the, so-and-so. I'm like, it's coming. It's coming. Trust me. I can't wait, though. I'm going to have a little fun with volume 2. I think that touches back with what I was saying about making it a little bit different, keeping it grounded, but also having a little bit of fun with it. I think volume 2 is the moment where I said, you know what, and I committed to really not being so strict with the story, because again, I don't need it to be an art house comic. I don't need it to be like something that philosophers, pour over. A big part of it is entertainment and to have fun, but it is supposed to hit emotional notes when we get to them. But again, a long-running story in comic format, we're going to have moments where we're going for an exciting little adventure and an interesting ride. So that's what's coming up. Volume 2, things get really crazy, and I think that'll be a pretty big deal, or at least I'm hoping, as far as the type of imagery we can show and promote and all that. Massive thank you again, Princess Pie, for the support. Jersey Life says Ronnie Hayes has always been a real G homeboy since the first time I logged into his channel years ago. Thank you very much, homie. What are you logging into my channel for? Huh? I get what you're saying, but you made it sound like you're checking my private messages, bro. It's a little creepy. Angel said, yo, Ronnie, what are the dimensions of the comic? Give or take, how big and thick? Matt Family. I have no idea as far as thickness. It's 120 some pages. I tried holding up. I never even thought to think about measuring thickness, but you're looking at it right here. As far as this is, and it's the same size as a standard comic. So it is. I never remember the standard. I never remember the whatchamacallit. The standard size of modern comic books are 10 1/8. I never remember the fraction. That's what it's called. 10 1/8 inches by 6 5/8 inches, or 25.7 centimeters by 16.8 centimeters. I never remember that. But just to give you an idea, it's a standard comic book size for the volume. It's the same size as a comic. And when it's something that was going to fit in with the rest of your collection, not something that, and I have gotten stuff that is bigger sizing, and I don't like it. I mean, I love looking at the big art, but now I have like one book, and I'm actually reviewing that book this coming week or next week on the channel for a comic review, for an indie comic review. I'm going to start shedding some light on the others that are up and coming, but I don't like it because I got all my indie books. I got all my, indie, non-indie books. Like here's a Nail Biter made by Image, and then we got Jawbreakers by your boy Zach. That's the holy shit. What's his is his new channel your boy Zach? I remember him as Diversity in Comics, but it's the same size, you know, so pretty much same size. Even Adam Post's College of the Dead, they're all the same size. Pretty much his is his is actually a half an inch wider. If you see that, yeah, his is actually half an inch wider. So he does have a wider format. Huh. That doesn't bother me, I guess, because what bothered me is I have them all on the shelf, but I got one. I got everyone's volume the same size, just about. Vestige, I have that somewhere, but that's more like a floppy. But it's the size. I have another that's like this tall, and it just throws off the whole shelf, you know. Anyway. Look at this compliment. Johnny says he needs to write some TV shows or movies one day because he knows what's up. Well, thank you very much, Johnny. Listen, I'm not going to get everything right. I'm not going to get everything right at all. But studying and identifying what works and what doesn't work in movies, you know, stories, period, movies, shows, comics, video games. It's weird because I'm not trying to say like I know it all. And again, I'm not going to get it all right. I can only do my best in the moment to say, try to identify what works and what doesn't and why it didn't work and what doesn't. But if I have a moment to sit down and really crack at it, it's what I've been, you know, interested in since I could remember. You know, in junior high, I was studying stories and what works, what didn't, reading screenplay books, learning how they format screenplays, learning the 3-act structure, learning about characters, learning about the hero's journey. So ever since I was in junior high and then high school and then further, that's all I did is I absorbed, or I must have read and reread numerous screenwriting books and then studied what came out, whether it was a play, which I hate plays, but movies, shows, video games, and identifying all that, even down to the mechanics. And again, a lot of it comes to different tastes. Like for The Last of Us Part 2, for example, I've been on this like little mini obsessive curious journey to understand what makes people so divided, and it's so numerous what makes them divided. But the one thing that's almost 100% that I see everywhere, the fans that are like still, oh my God, I love this, are almost the majority, almost 100%. I think there's only one person that was not this. They are almost all Ellie fans, you know, the fans that are just so and taken back and upset are Joel primarily fans or Joel and Ellie fans. Like I'm a massive Joel and Ellie fan as a clique. And I do believe part 2, to go spoiler free, part 2 should have been part 3, and part 2 should have been the duo, you know, and not so split up. And I've been on this like, okay, we're, you know, everyone's thoughts and opinions, and it's almost unanimous when I'm getting opinions from people. Now, I'm sure someone's going to jump in the comments and say, oh, I'm a huge Joel, I hate Ellie, but I still loved it. You're always going to get those once people put it out there. But when I'm reading honest reviews and opinions and hearing people and how they talk, it is almost 100%. If you're an Ellie fan and Joel's like, I like them, but oh well, you are more likely to be cool with part 2 or even in love with part 2. If you're a huge fan of Joel or a huge fan of Joel and Ellie, you are more likely to be like, you know, a little hesitant or absolutely hate it. Anyway, and there's a lot more to that, but I'm just saying, as I breaking down what works and what doesn't. Again, one of my main series on the channel, Flaw and All Review, I didn't do it just because I thought it'd be a good, you know, clickable video for YouTube. I did it because I sat down and was like, I think it was about 2 years ago. I was like, what content do I want to make that doesn't have an expiration date? Because when I was doing The Walking Dead, I noticed a trend. When The Walking Dead was popular, the channel and views and my engagement would be through the roof. But then when The Walking Dead wasn't on air, or when The Walking Dead didn't have any like interesting topics to discuss, everything just plummeted. You know, I had like 2,000 to 5,000 people that are constantly here. But if I talk about The Walking Dead when it was on and popping, I'd have 50,000 at a minimum, all the way up to 1 million for some videos. And I looked at that, and I looked at once we are done talking about The Walking Dead in its current moment, if you go back and look at all my videos, they're getting a view every 6 months, you know? Nobody gives a fuck about a prediction video from an episode 7 years ago. You know, no one cares. So those videos are on my channel and they're getting zero attention. And I don't blame you guys. I don't blame anyone. I wouldn't watch them because that content has an expiration date. So I sat down and was like, all right, Ronnie, what are you into that you can put on YouTube, and that is your main thing that you can just get? Your channel's going to take a huge hit for months, maybe a whole year. So it's got to be something that you love and you're passionate about. And I picked the Flaw and All review style, and I tweaked it for months, maybe a little longer than I should have. And then I started putting it on the channel. So, you know, tweaking stories and understanding stories, and you're never going to get it perfect. I think that's why I love dealing with stories. You'll never get it perfect because we all have different tastes in what works and what doesn't, and why it doesn't. Hand Foot Lady, congrats, Ronnie. I'm not watching for a while, brother, but I love your content. I hope you get filthy rich with Doomsday Kingdom. Good vibes. That would be freaking amazing. And I stick to my promise. If I become filthy stinking rich, for any Last of Us Part 1 fans, I will make it my mission to somehow recapture the audio from the actors, the voice actors. That's all you need on that end. And I will put as much money as possible into creating a modern version of Part 1 with updated combat and maybe some additional areas to explore where we don't need any story elements. I don't want to mess with the story at all. I just want to give you guys updated graphics, updated characters, as far as the graphics are not changing, but updating, and then the combat in the game, and maybe some other additional traversal, like adding some areas where you're a rope or a yada, yada, yada. So if I ever get filthy rich, any Last of Us fan, I'm going to make your fucking day. Neil will say yes, because why the fuck not? If someone jumped up and said, here's $50 million or whatever it costs, that, imagine I'd have to be a fucking idiot if I did some shit like that. But I swear to God, if I had a fucking, I don't know how much money you would need. If I had $500 million, I'd do it. Fuck it. Do I care? I bet you I could sell that to the masses. I bet you I could sell that. Absolutely bet you I could. A remastered, upgraded, like modern version of a classic, a timeless classic, not changed, not censored, not tweaked. We're not jamming anything in it that wasn't. But this time, when you get The Last of Us in a modern, Part 1, in a modern graphics and a modern combat, which I don't even know if that's possible, but imagine. And inside the actual game, you can play Left Behind as well, instead of it being additional DLC, but it's skippable. So when you get to Left Behind, I'm not skipping it, but if you wanted the option, you could skip that section and go to continue on with the original. T-Ray said, saw Juliet finish the game. You will have to share her thoughts also. I'm curious of a younger person's views. Her views are all over the place with that. She went from being really mad to really like, that was beautiful, to not understanding, to just all over. We will talk to her, but she did stream it, and she was like this the entire time for the fight, just like, what? She was really mad. You know what's funny? Joel was my favorite character in Part 1. I loved Ellie though, but Joel was my favorite character, and Juliet used to like mock me all the time for that. I can't wait till Joel dies. I can't wait till Joel dies, or some shit like that. She was like gutted with Part 2, and she was telling me she was mad at Ellie because Ellie got mad at Joel and yelled at Joel, and she was like so pissed at Ellie. I was like, oh, that's shocking. Put the Indiegogo link in the description. It fucking should be. YouTube, what are you doing, brother? Give me 1 second. Let me copy. Let's move this as well. We'll do a refresher, and then we'll chat a few more minutes, but we'll wrap it up some. Oh, wait. There was an update. Let me think of how to word this. You son of a bitch. It's not even there. All right, give me a second, chat. I'm going to... Indiegogo, Doomsday Kingdom. Come on. Paste. There we go. Got to make sure I spell everything right. All right, save that. Somebody check for me and make sure that's saved right, because it gave me a weird page thing on there. McMahon. He's laughing at me. That sucks. Favorite weapon from your comic is going to be a tomahawk. Bone tomahawk. Like a Native American one made out of an actual animal jawbone. So there's like a jawbone with actual teeth inside the weapon on the edge of the weapon. I was just curious. Had quite the scare with College of the Dead when it came in the mail. The post office just crammed it in the mailbox. Had to fold it to get it out. Comics survived though, thank God. I was just curious. What were you just curious about? Oh, as far as okay, about the dimensions. Well, I will say I'm pretty sure College of the Dead came in a mailer. Yeah, this is College of the Dead. Now, this is going to be real similar to the mailers that we put out there. I mean, this is pretty... I don't know how or why they did that, but ours is going to be, like I said, twice as thick. So for them to crush that down and jam it in a mailbox is going to be quite the feat. So let's hope they don't. The Vivid Kiwi says, love Flaw and Aws. I love making them. Absolutely. Add Scarface to the Flaw and Awe list. Oh, that's one of my favorite all-time favorites. Ferrets and me says, man, you have a plan. I like to try. How much will shipping Volume 1 to Canada? You have to double check. I'm pretty sure it's around $20. All international is around the same price. So you're going to have to double check on that. I know international. I now know why people just say, screw it, I'm doing only US. I get it, because, man, is it frustrating dealing with international. First off, you have to deal with them, and it's not as easy as it sounds. Second off, you get people mad at you because shipping is so high and you can't control it. And that's one thing you won't believe how many... I thought everyone knew that we don't control shipping prices. When you sell something, unless it's like, in the US and you tack on extra handling because you got to pay people in a warehouse and it's specially, you know what I mean, shipped. But if it's a comic book and you're shipping in the US, you either do flat rate or you can do by the, which that's going to be another update. I'll get to that in a second. So I had like 3 or 4 people when we were doing the floppies that were just mean when it came to messaging about international. They were refusing to pay international and demanded like an other price. Finally, I got to the point where it was like, I gave them the option. You go and you find the postal service that can do it for the best price. Come back to me and we will go with that service. And there was 2 that came back and were like, okay, we're paying it because we checked and you're right, it's fucking ridiculous, and it's not us doing it, it's the postal system. And then the other few people just didn't even comment back. But I still stand by that. If you ever find a better provider than what we can for international, holla at your boy. Elias says, why do you think media reviews are so good? They were paid. No, Elias, they were not paid. They were biased. Yes, they do have some bias, or they just have different opinions. I liked a lot of games, but what do you think? Well, the media reviews is a tricky thing. There's going to be some level of bias, whereas all right, first off, let's cut to the chase. You're asking because of The Last of Us 2, right? The Last of Us 2 got such good reviews is because it is an an amazing game. It is insanely amazing through the fucking moon. Listen, this is coming from somebody that openly thinks it's one of the worst sequels that was ever made. For anyone new here, I thought about this long and hard, and it is one of the worst sequels ever made. As a part one, as a separate entity from The Last of Us, it is one of the greatest video games that I have ever played. And even haters hating cannot make that a lie, because you get in there in the world, and I hear so many people, well, this video game has a nice world. Well, that's fucking fine for that video game. We're reviewing this one. That's why it's easy for a reviewer to go, ooh, I'm impressed. Okay, this is the greatest ever, because now they found something that they don't have to defend. When someone goes, oh, you're a shill, they're like, bro, look at this game. So it's kind of like one of those things where you get a lot of reviewers that genuinely loved it. There it is. You get some that did really like it, so they can actually lay on some extra praise, to get some maybe additional networking favors, yada, yada, yada. And I don't think that's as often as YouTubers think it is, but I understand why YouTubers do that, because I am often inundated, is that my word of the day, with companies that want me to bullshit for them. And that's why I think a lot of YouTubers, especially bigger ones, because they probably get it more than I do. But I often get companies that are like, oh, hey, we want to sell this watch. What do you think about this, this, and this? And say it's like you've been wearing it for years. And it's like, well, I haven't. You just fucking approached me today. You know what I mean? And they're like, well, just, this. You get a lot of like bullshit emails from companies trying to like just get you to, you know what I mean? And I refuse. I've never done that for a sponsor product review. I will legit put some sponsors in, but I've had a real hard time because I've found a lot of things where it's like, if you come to me and have a good product and you let me just go, all right, boom, there it is. But I've had a lot that come in and there's also ulterior things there, and I just don't want to do it. I refuse to do it. So I think that's why a lot of YouTubers think there's something shady going on. But I think The Last of Us is a bad example, because it was what they say. Again, you're going to get a lot of them that weren't wholly connected to what we were connected with. And we'll get more into that in the next upload, because that's going to be Last of Us related. Are you going to flaw and awe Doomsday Kingdom? No, I think that would be impossible for me to flaw and awe. I could flaw and awe it from a technical perspective, but it's just impossible for a creator to go beyond the technical, because it's coming from a fan perspective of what we like and what we don't like. And obviously there's going to be some things that I think you're going to like as far as yada, yada, yada. But, not only that, imagine flaw and awe your own work. That would be like, oof, that'd be a whole lot of cringe. I would jokingly do it, but The Last of Us Collector's Edition was supposed to arrive last Friday, but there was a delay and I still haven't gotten it. Jealous of everyone who has played. Oh, that sucks. Take a walk. That sucks, brother. That sucks big time. I got a little lucky than usual, because all the time when I order a new video game or movie, it's always late. I mean, always. But for The Last of Us, it was smooth. I went in, they had it, I picked it up, and I bounced, and I paid less, because I only paid $140 for my Last of Us Collector's Edition. It was some discount my brother got. It was only like use it now or it goes bad, and I canceled my pre-order with GameStop, and I had him order it, and I just paid him on PayPal, because the time was running out to use whatever that special discount thing he had was. So I used that, and I got the collector's edition for a great deal. I think it was around $200, and I got it, well, $180, something like that, and I got it for like $40 off. Have you seen the movie Come to Daddy starring Elijah Wood? Movie has been yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was expecting, I like Elijah Woods, but I was expecting something that it wasn't. I didn't hate it. I just was like, Congrats, Ronnie. Thanks, Last Outlaws. Your post-apocalyptic talks on stream in part inspire my work. Like you, I dig the overgrown cities and all the good stuff. I look forward to reading volume 1. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. I love hearing about the continued growth of independent voices and minds. Not independent, but more creator owned. We need more and more new voices coming out telling stories. The Vivid Kiwi says, milk The Last of Us 2 hate in your titles, even if your video is positive. So many videos I see are blowing up. Yeah, that's the thing with The Last of Us 2. If you really want to get on the train, and you can tell there's a rush and acceptance towards the hate. It's made YouTubers I like say the dumbest shit. You know what I mean? And I just like cringe. I'm like, fuck, bro. Like, yeah, I don't really, I like a YouTuber named Yellow Flash, right? Today I saw one of his videos and I was like, bro, just fucking, please just put yourself in check for a moment. Your hatred for this game makes you saying stuff that is, anyone in the industry would look at you like you're half fucking retarded. Like, he was stumped on why Polygon did a positive article when they reviewed the game negative. And I'm like, bro, please just step away, because you're starting to like, and I've seen all of them do it. All of them have done like face against the wall. And this is coming from someone that bears a lot of the same hatred that they do. But it's just like, I learned to go, okay, you know, here's the good, here's the bad. And it's out of our fucking hands at this point. But they get so invested. He was like, yeah, I think that's his problem. He's just so super anti-SJW. I think his brain just like blocked that off. And I'm like, why would you say shit like that? First off, well, here's the thing. If he just came out and he was like, you know what? I don't know how YouTube's or websites are even run. Fuck it. Lesson learned. Because the reason they're run like that is because just because it's the website, it doesn't mean it's one singular voice. There's contributors who contribute articles. And that's why you get one guy who contributed a review to Polygon, the guy who reviewed it for that website. He didn't like it, you know? And apparently that's what happened. And then the next day, someone else from Polygon, and it could have been the same fucking guy, because here's a newsflash. I just said it was one of the worst video game sequels ever, but the gameplay in the world is insanely outstanding. And that's another thing that I can't believe those words even left his mouth. You can hate a game and go nuts over one aspect. Like, there's a lot of games that do something really well, like the gun sounds, but the game is terrible. I just think some of them get so blinded by hate. It's like they don't hear themselves, or they don't just pause a moment to think clearly. I don't know. And sometimes it's difficult to watch, because it's like, I'm hearing this more and more with shaming people to have your same opinion. And on YouTube, I think that's weak-minded. I think it's absolutely weak. Oh, look at this person simping for, that's the new thing in 2020. I'm sorry, but you got to be of low intellect to try to shame an audience into agreeing with you. And that's what you're doing. You are literally blocking off everybody who is in one camp because you want them to agree with you. And I'm seeing that everywhere on YouTube. And it's like, hey, fine, it is what it is. But it's just like, you know why I think I get so annoyed with it? Because it's easy for the people who need to hear the criticism. Like Neil Druckmann made some blatant, flat out mistakes with Last of Us 2. He needs to hear the fan base clearly in order to just kind of let it soak in a little and go forward with part 3 without making similar mistakes. And there's mistakes he made. But if you go up to him, like I've seen so many YouTubers say, oh yeah, Neil is spitting on Joel and he inserted himself in this sex scene with a guy. Okay, let's break this down. That wasn't Neil. That was another actor. No, that wasn't a guy. There was no guy on guy sex scene. So when you say stuff that's blatantly lying or stupid, like, I don't know how websites operate. When you say shit like that, the people who need to hear your voice immediately shut you down as just some fringe weirdo. Like this, just some fringe weirdo making money on YouTube. And that's happening more and more. You want to know why the fucking people with these agendas that you guys think that are out there? Do you want to know why they look at you and they don't even listen to the fan base? Fans, if you are out there and you're enraged with what's going on and you want them to know, do you know why they don't listen to you? Because the people that they hear are saying shit that's so ridiculous, they blow you off. And I think that's why I get annoyed with YouTubers. We demand mainstream media puts their bias in check. We demand they become transparent. Yet time and time and time again, I'm seeing YouTubers, even ones I fucking like, do the same shit. They do the same gatekeeping. They're not transparent. We got even the quartering. He's near 1 million subs. And even this fucking lazy shit can't look up facts. Instead, he's just like, I don't know if this is true, but that's just what I hear on the internet. You know, you are now approaching an actual news. Well, I don't know if reading other people's actual work on YouTube is considered news, but I mean, you're assisting others in reading the news. I guess that would be. But that's my point, though, is like this is why people don't take you serious, you know, because the loudest of you are saying shit that is wrong, rumors, lies, or straight illogical. And I'm on your side saying I want shit to change and get better as well. I want to live in a world where they're not butchering our franchises for whatever benefit they got cooked up, you know? Anyhow, but again, it's us as a collective keeping each other in check. Like, I'm not going to start a beef with another YouTuber, but if you do something stupid, I'm going to say you're doing something stupid. I'm not, and again, it's not starting beef with another YouTuber out of anything other than there's no beef for me. It's like, you know how you do something stupid and your friend is like the first person to be like, bro, that was fucking dumb, you know? And you're like, that's why he's your friend, because when you fuck up, it takes your friend to break through that barrier of having the uneasy conversation to let you know, yeah, you fucked up. You know what I mean? So just to put this out there for YouTubers I like, man, just put yourself in check, because you're making mistakes that you condemn the other side doing, you know? So many. What review complained about there being no map? I'm not sure. You're gonna have to look it up. Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to look it up. I didn't go back and look it up, but there is a YouTube review out there that complained about having no map. I will say something on their side, in their defense. There is a map, clear as fucking day, in the beginning, but you only use it for that one huge area. So in their defense, however, on the flip side, the other areas don't need a map. I mean, they're big and fun, but it's clear they lead you. Like, here's the thing with video games. A little tip. Look for telltale signs. Like when you actually see a sign with an arrow, like it's a street sign, that means, and it's in The Last of Us Part 2, you have to go under the water and under the bus. There's an arrow leading you, but it's hidden within the environment. Other stuff like there will be ledges without grass. You have to look for the signs of where they want you to go. Once you identify those, it's super easy to maneuver through there. You'll find a couple spots where I'm just like, where the fuck do I go? Because I'm talking with chat. I'm yet. But other than that, it's not hard getting around. So just saying. TDN lives on. Ron Dunn. Just tuned in. I'll have to rewatch the stream, but you should check out this movie trailer called The Greenland with Gerard Butler. The Greenland. I'll check that out. Sup, Ronnie? Been a fan for years. Doomsday Kingdom is going to be epic, dude. Hoping to support you by chipping in with Indiegogo. Is it available to ship in the UK? Yes, it is available to ship in the UK. Thank you very much. My name is Name. What happens if we get to 7K? Everybody gets a free gold foil plated. Wait. Foil plated. I shouldn't say gold. It's foil plated. It's like it looks like a gold color is what I meant by it. But it's this foil plated. I'll show you an image of it right here. This is why I said I keep saying gold, because it got this See, it's got that like shine to it. So at 7K, everybody gets this, and that's everybody. And he said they started a petition because they want to remake it, The Last of Us. Yeah, I think the petition is helpful to show that there's people upset, but outside of it getting anything done, petitions don't do anything. You know, they just don't do anything. There's nothing there. Jaden says, thank you so much for mentioning the quartering, Ronnie. The amount of hypocrisy that guy spews is unreal. Keep up the good work, man. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think it's at a point. I haven't seen it at a point yet where it's time to go to war with other YouTubers. But I do think some YouTubers are just kind of getting a little sloppy, let's say, because no one is just saying risking, coming off as an asshole saying, bro, you said something really dumb, or hey, quartering, you got facts wrong in like the last 3 fucking videos I watched. Bro, what are you doing? You're fucking rich. Hire somebody. God damn, just hire somebody. And I know the truth, or at least I believe I know the truth. He knew the truth, but he lied anyway because it was easier to lie and make fun of Neil Druckmann because it's making him a lot of money than it was to be honest. I think that's the truth. Because if he was honest, you would do the video, but it wouldn't be as much taking shots at somebody that didn't actually do what he said they were doing. Ronnie, do you think Neil Druckmann is doing a? Let's actually stop with the this comic update. I'm going to talk about 2 things, read some comments, but we're going to be discussing The Last of Us. I shouldn't have got off topic, but we're going to be discussing that in the next stream. So stay tuned for that. But let me check this out real quick. Druckmann, Neil Druckmann is doing the HBO series. Yeah, and it's already confirmed. Neil Druckmann is doing the HBO series. I don't think he would have let them do it without his involvement, personally. We got another Last of Us, still 2 on 10. Lois still knocked it down big time. Yeah, I believe. I feel you. The story did knock it down. Damn, that bookmark is sick. Yeah, that bookmark is fucking unreal. And here's the thing too: is I get so hyped because I saw an example, not of that one, but of a similar make, in like in real life, and they look insane. I mean, they look fucking awesome, man. Zach Attack says, Ronnie, do you think you can do an in-depth vid on your process of making your comic from script to sorting your panels to your talks with James? I probably could. Before we wrap this up, how many people are interested in in-depth? I think it's tricky to go back and look at something that's already done because there was such a big process in reshaping the first few, but maybe if I look like for issue 6 it has to be an issue already released. So you know what I'll do? I think I'll take a look back at like issue 2 or 3 and I will do one of those because that way I can talk about the comic without worrying about spoilers because I don't want to do the video based on issue 6 because it'll spoil, way too much. Because as far as coming up with the process, there's a number of different ways. And I think that's what's so tricky. When people ask about the process of doing videos, what is up with YouTube's live chat is going like people are talking like crazy, but StreamYard's is barely moving. It's like one every second, but this one is like cruising. Are they? Okay, it looks pretty good. It just, maybe it was catching up. I don't know. Yeah, the tricky part is there's a number of ways to do that as far as the process. Some of them is just coming up with an interesting visual idea at first to introduce something, like I knew originally issue 1 was the rider taking the prisoner to the feeding post. However, originally issue 1 wasn't issue 1. That was issue 100, just to give you an example. Issue 1, the rider taking the prisoner to the feeding post, was actually issue 100. I wanted something that had value as an issue 1 within the story, not just that has value because That's issue 1. Angel, no, that is not real gold. No way. There's no way we would be able to hand out free gold with a fucking $25 comic, bro. No, it's just the coloring, no way. So where was I? So yeah, so I wanted issue 1 to be special, and within the first reading, I wanted it interesting. I wanted to set up this world that you knew you were going to get into and prepare you for a longer story. But I also wanted something for rereadability, meaning that when you go back to reread Doomsday Kingdom, when you read issue 1 for the first time, you pick it up and you skim through it and you're like, okay, that's cool. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. There's a cross, there's a house, there's bullet holes, there's skeletons, there's boarded up house. I said that already. There's a feeding post. You got the rider, you got the prisoner, there's this gang. You got all the shit that's set up in the first issue. But the idea isn't to say, okay, real quick, it's all set up and here it is, because you're going to get each piece throughout. So let's say in volume 1, it sets it up with issue 1 in the future. And then issue 2, we go back to the outbreak day, which is called Townfall. From that moment on, from the day that everything goes to shit moving forward, you're going to get one more interesting piece of information from issue 1. And then by the time you get to 100, where we get to the feeding post part 2, for example, that is like a subtitle. Once you get there, you're now going to revisit those events from a different perspective, except for this time, you're going to know who the rider is. You'll know who the prisoner is. You'll know the origin of the feeding post. You'll know what used to take place in that house. You'll know where that car came from, that rusted up frame of a car, and you're going to know whose skeleton is by the feeding post. There's so much other stuff you're going to know, so it gives that little bit to you, making issue 1 special in a certain way, in an actual physical way, instead of just being, oh, it's special because it's the number 1. You know what I mean? So piecing that apart was different than how I normally write it, because then what I did is I looked at my scroll and I found a perfect point in the story that began the beginning of the end. So the feeding post part leads to the end of this, of this story. And so I thought, okay, I looked and noticed there's so much that intertwines with that area. Let's take that moment and bring it into the first issue. But I had a problem because originally it was written as a novel. So you saw the rider enter and then put the prisoner on the feeding post, mumble to himself. They got in a little scuffle, and then the trap was set by someone else and looking for someone else, not even the rider. And then once the rider was captured, he was talking with the main guardian. He's the leader of that area. And he's talking to the rider about what's going on. So for a novel, it's he walks in and then he's captured. But when you take that novel into a comic book, it makes it harder, because now instead of a novel, you're reading the words. Now you have to sit there. And I did do a draft of this where the comic was just no talking and you watched the rider do those actions. Then he got caught, and then it was just him sitting in a room talking with the guardian leader. Now, I was looking at that for the comic and I thought, well, for a comic, it's boring because you have one where it's no action. You have action, but no talking. And the next one, you have no action because they're just sitting, and you have talking. So action, no talking, and then no action and talking. So for issue 1, I combine those two elements that are happening in the book. They happen one before the other, but in the comic, it starts out with the rider already captured, and him and the guardian leader are talking about putting the prisoner onto the feeding post. So as a little mini intro to how that would break down, issue 1 was the weirdest that I wrote, because that's how I got to piece issue 1 together. But I will do a video about how I piece together upcoming single issues, because those are all usually similar. And again, there's different ways to do it. Like, what's popping off. But if you're going into a comic, in a floppy comic, you have to know two main things. You have to know what the overall story is for that single issue. And the second most important is your last page. Your last page needs to be this flair, not always a cliffhanger, but it needs to set them up with either giving them a dun-dun-dun feeling or setting them up curious to see what's coming next. Once you get that last page, then you can piece apart the story that falls in between the first and the last. And that stuff will break down in another video, because we do have to get this shut down. But no, I was just kidding, bud. I'm glad you were just kidding, because that would be hard. Zach said, I just want to make one of my own, and I would like to see how you do the process. Yeah, we could probably do that, because there's a number of things I do. One thing I think that is helpful is to do an outline. And with a comic, it is simplified because every movement is a panel. Remember, don't write down this character walks over and punches and then kicks and throws. Each action is a panel. Meaning, if somebody's getting punched in the face, that's one panel. So if you say page 1 is this character punching a guy, kicking a guy, and then jumping out a window and throwing a grenade back in the building, each of those actions have to be a panel. So that breaks it down for you, kind of. And that's how stories are told, unless you're like, I'm going to do this big page where he's a little panel where he bites off the grenade, another little panel where he jumps out the window, and then the very last panel throwing the grenade. And the very last panel is this epic, the whole page is just this explosion from the grenade. You have to do it in pieces of events. So hopefully that'll hold you over until we do an actual video breaking down the entire process. But for me, that was coming up with that was the most helpful. Coming up with each action is a panel, essentially, because it is kind of new. You're a little off putting it together at first when you're figuring out how to do the comic layout. I've been using the cards that came with the issues for my bookmarks. That's what's up. I've done that. Thank you very much, TDN lives on. I appreciate that. You're going to make $1 million with your comic run. I can feel it. If we do prepare for a video game, I'm telling you right here and now, I already have scripting in the works for the video game. Like I said, there's 2 versions of it, 2 different stories. And one, I will hint to you, one version of the story has Lazaro in it from the comic. But that's one where it's like early, putting the ideas together, because there would have to be something big that happens for that. Shit. I'd be interested in any more Doomsday Kingdom content. Oh, thank you very much. Somebody asked something about, Megapath Presents, is there an inspiration for the look of the rider? Actually, what's funny is the inspiration came from 2 different things. The one thing is it came from the love of the zombie genre, where I thought, okay, we have this one character that's really been through a bunch of shit. I can't spoil it, but there's something that he's going to know well enough to do, which is to cover himself. And I can't get into it because it hits certain beats story-wise, but one thing he learns to do is put this leather, tough material around, and it gets sewn like a suit. And that's early on where they start learning how to put these guards on without it being these ridiculous plastic, that fall apart, because they had rivets in like a hockey gear or something, but some of it kind of falls apart and yada, yada, yada. So this was the idea of something that could be a little more sleek, not so bulky, something that doesn't get hung up on all your straps. So it's nice, smooth, and it's efficient leather that can come off easily. It's built into these, traveling pants that he's got, so sewn in. So when he gets bit, there's pressure, and you have to watch because they could bite you so hard you might even break a bone. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful. Even in issue 1, we show that off. The rider is surrounded and he's fighting off these creeps while dodging arrows, and he gets bit in the arm, he gets bit in the leg, and later you're going to see a bruise. You'll see him, and I love that idea where we have these characters that are swarmed with zombies, and in so many zombie movies we never see them get bit while they got gear on. It's so rare. But in this, and I know why it's rare on TV, because you don't want to knock out an extra's teeth. It's expensive as shit. And yes, it is dangerous to have an extra fake biting, when you're doing this. So that's why they don't do it as much, or partly why. But in this, you get characters that are physically getting bit, and it's common, and they need an outfit for that. So the outfit leather was part of the inspiration for a character where we can see them get bit, and there is pressure there, but the teeth isn't going through the bacteria, the bite isn't going through, so it's protecting. But the face itself was based off of something I saw on a motorcycle. Actually, somebody had this getup on a motorcycle, and I, for the life of me, couldn't sit right with the design and what it would be. And I talked to James about it, and I talked about how I forget the words I used. And then eventually I was looking through masks, try this mask with this look. And then I'm pretty sure he came up with a sample sketch. It wasn't quite all the way there. And then I used a motorcycle half mask as an idea for the direction it needs to go, because of getting that distinctive look that I saw. But I looked everywhere, and the idea I wanted, I couldn't find anywhere. So I don't know if the guy I saw, was using a different one, if I just lost track of the imagery, but I had to go everywhere looking for reference images to show James how to bring that to life. And I think it took a few months, but finally I found something where I sent them an image and was like, this, and again, I think for me, it came to two things. One, it has to look cool visually, be a little different, but also there's a special reveal of why people wear masks, and that will be maybe a part of a special surprise that we have when you're done reading the volume. We want to give you guys a little extra peek into volume 2, let's say, issue 6. So there will be something there, and some extra stuff as well. But like I said, it will kind of maybe in a way have an additional explanation for the masks, which it will be real cool. Speaking of which, I saw the rough sketch of the free trading card that people who signed up are getting, and that shit is fucking cool. I don't know if that one is for the signups or if that one is for everyone yet, but we are working on things for little free, gifts for everybody. Javier with a $5 dono. Keep up the fantastic work, Ronnie. Thanks for getting my mind off of the craziness going on. Thank you very much, Javier. I appreciate that support. Absolutely. If we're ending now, but give me a few minutes, I'm going to try to put up I might as well just get it over with. The last, one of the Last of Us 2 streams we're going to have. It's not a long one. So, for anyone wanting a 5-hour stream, it's not. It's just about an hour or two. Let's see. Charles Wolf, when you're writing, how do you come up with the characters' names, personalities, and overall appearance? I'm curious. All right. Well, let's break down. Names is something that it can be a number of different things. You can look for a name if you know the character's arc, and you kind of pick something that has a symbolic meaning somewhere along the ways if you're interested in that moment to do so. Or you look up areas they're from, which is very helpful. If I have a character from a certain small town out in the Midwest, I'm not going to name them something that's a name where no one is named that. He'll get For example, he'll get like a Caleb type name, just as an example. But if he's from this area or this area, it has to fit them, their area, and for me, it has to be cool, but not be connected to other, especially zombie genre. Like, I'm not going to name my name character Rick, even if that was like just a coincidence. I know right off the bat, I'm not putting a Rick in my group. And again, that's because there's a Rick character in The Walking Dead. He's the main character. So names, it comes up to that, or you can do names based on paying an homage to a friend, a family member, stuff like that. Names for villains, you want to look for something that has a cool, ring to it. You don't want to get a villain and then give them some long, crazy, ridiculous name. As far as personalities, that also comes up to what you're accomplishing there. Like, we have a character that goes through a huge transformation, so it would conflict with the story if she was a badass from the start. Like, we have a character coming up that is named Crow, right? Now, Crow has been trained ever since birth. Lives on a Native American reservation, and she was trained in combat and all that, yada, yada, yada. It wouldn't make sense to put her in as the Katie character, because the Katie character needs to be protected because of how the story plays out and who she is. For her, she's just living life, going to school, bartending to pay the bills. She's not supposed to be a grappler and throw you down, beat up zombies and, load guns, shoot guns, carrying ammo, belts, and all that shit. She's not supposed to be that. Like Carol, for example. If you're supposed to be that housewife and you got to transition, the abused housewife, you want to come up with the personalities that either A, you're interested in telling those stories, B, fit the story well and they serve a purpose, because you have a number of different types of characters. Some of the main characters that you'll pick from are characters who you want to tell their story. And then there's a lot of characters that are just there to move the story along. You use them as tools, but you want to give them, as much kind of personality to flesh out the world as possible. And as far as the overall appearance, I like to mix it up. I know the internet calls it diversity now. I call it variety. When I get in there, I like to go, okay, I like to have a different blend of characters, unless it's going to complicate or mess with the logic of, like, we're not going to go to like an inner city and you're going to see a farmer come out chewing on straw. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to see, appearance wise, you're going to see it match the areas and location and the type of story you're telling. I also go with visual appearances that I think would be visually appealing, and that is both in the beautiful and the flat and the ugly, even, because there's ugly looking characters and things that are visually appealing. Like the clown is not the sexiest motherfucker in the room, but it has a visual appeal to it. I'm all about the visuals. It has to look appealing to look at as well. Congrats, Ronnie. All right, last one. Because when I'm writing, I always create the character's name, then build the character up that way. That's fine. Whatever process you find is great. I am never stuck on the name. I know Tristan, for example, did get his name from another movie based on an homage, and it was kind of like a reminder. And there's a movie out there that I loved, but it is nothing but depression, and I loved it. I'm surprised I didn't like The Last of Us 2 for a sequel, because that's nothing but depression. But I loved those dark, gritty, just stories. And there was one movie called Legends of the Fall, I think, and the lead character was named Tristan. And when I was long ago, this is how Doomsday Kingdom is honestly old as shit originally. Long ago, we didn't have grounded, dark, gripping zombie stories. It wasn't until The Walking Dead that people fully started taking it serious. And that's one of my main goals back then, was to make a zombie movie, or I was writing it as a movie, but to make a zombie story where it made people cry. It made people care about the characters. I didn't give a shit about any character in the old zombie movies. That's one thing that I never could stand. I mean, now I like them in a nostalgic way, but I honestly don't care about them. I barely even remember their names. Anyhow, so I wanted to make a zombie story that you respected, that wasn't just like, B movie trash and that made you cry. And I used Tristan as the lead's name from Legends of the Fall to give to a lead character in this. He's on the screen now. His name is Tristan, as a constant reminder. Keep it grounded, keep it gritty, and keep it depressing as fuck. One of my main goals, and there's a reason for that. There's a payoff for that. One of my main goals is to beat the characters down so much you don't just ask for me to stop, but you just beg me to kill them already. So I put them out of their misery, But again, it's not just like that's edgy or I think that's cool. There's literally a point in the story we're building to that makes that payoff, the way I'm viewing it, a reward that makes up for the ruin that I put you through by going on this journey with some of these characters. So anyhow, and again, hopefully if it's done well and it pays off good enough, some of you guys will get that vibe as well. All right, last question. Delano says, and this does relate to Doomsday Kingdom. So, will the volumes have the issue covers in it? Yes, but wait a minute. Yes, but in the good way. What does that mean? Well, if you pick up, I think Nailbiter, for example, does it in a way that I fucking can't stand. Nailbiter, if you pop it open, I might be wrong. Nope, I'm right. So let's say you're reading Nailbiter, right? And it's like, oh man, that's good. That's gripping. I'm interested. And the story has a nice flow. You turn the page and you're slapped in the face with the fucking issue cover. Like, come on. Instead of going from the story page, to the other story page, like the way it should be. Like, here's the story, bam, and then the story page. They have this cover in here, just chilling to let you know what issue, and then the cover again because they need to fill up this space. I hate that with a passion. When I'm sitting down to read a full story, I want only the story. So for Doomsday Kingdom, you'll sit down and you'll start right away on the story and you'll read 112 pages. And once it ends, you're going to get a teaser for the issue 6 cover, if this is still planned, the issue 6 cover. And after that, you're going to get a cover gallery with virgin covers, or maybe not, I don't know, it's still in the works, of issue 1 cover, issue 2, 3, 4, and 5. So yes, the covers will be in volume 1 of Doomsday Kingdom, but they're going to be all in the back, collected in the back, instead of spread out throughout the book, because I hate that, man. I love just all the way through. All right. Sorry, we got a dono that came in from Dr. Death. Thank you very much for the $2 dono. I can't remember the OG name of Doomsday Kingdom. Well, here's the thing. It wasn't, the name has always been Doomsday Kingdom, but when we were talking about it before I announced the name, we were using the title Dead Living. And again, that's just Night of the Living Dead turned backwards. You know what I mean? It was like paying homage. But again, that was only the working title. I keep getting comments every now and then that ask about that. Like, why'd you change the title yet? And it's like, well, I didn't change the title. That was always just the working title because I was waiting for the copyright and trademark stuff to go through on Doomsday Kingdom before we did the announcement. Because let's say something happened and I couldn't copyright Doomsday Kingdom, I didn't want to have to make another video and go, oh man, whoops. So I gave it a placeholder name, working title, which was Dead Living, and everything went smoothly and we were able to release that. Let me refresh this, see if we got another sale or not. Yeah, we did. We're at 5,760. That's what's up. We got 12 days left. I will pitch this a little more on my stream. Like I said, I'm going to try my best to do a stream from 10 p.m. till 11. So at least a minimum of an hour. It's going to be on this channel, and it's going to be discussing the Last of Us 2, and it'll have Last of Us 2 gameplay. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, one more one more update for anyone who wants specific updates on the graphic novel. We are almost all the way there. We are on I'm going to get started soon on the lettering, the last 22 pages, and the artist is like I said previously on the last couple pages, and we're going to be going into coloring. So when we're going into coloring, the last 20 pages, the other 80 some or 80, like 90, I forget what it's like 87. They're already completely done except for some touch-ups I have to do. So we're still at that phase. We are doing we are finally getting to update the shipping on the website. We now have the mailers, and we are going to be switching in a couple weeks. We're going to be switching from using priority, and this is US only, unfortunately, I believe. We're going to be switching from the flat rate shipping mailers to these. Now, we always put cardboard on ours, but the good news is once we switch to the mailers and then we put it on our website, we will be able to control everything with a calculator, meaning that people in the US it'll cut your shipping by maybe $2-3, per order, unless you order, a box of stuff then. But if you're ordering 2 comics, instead of paying, I think it's like $7.50 now or something like that, or $8, I forget what it is. Instead of paying $8, you'll pay like $4, for example. So that'll be an awesome addition to the website. Unfortunately, that's only US only. And the reason being is we had so many orders previously of the floppy comic that we could only just simply get them all taped up, put them in the mailers, and then ship them out. We didn't have the system set up where we can do the individual orders, print out the individual things. We had to do it en masse. But now I think we're getting to the point where the release is so much smoother, and we got all the kinks kind of ironed out to where we can start trimming the shipping costs for now, at least in the US. The UK, though, I don't know, because they keep raising the fucking shipping costs in the international. Dr. Death, putting my order in tomorrow on payday. Can't wait. Oh, that's what's up, Dr. Death. I appreciate that. Yeah, and the support is going to be awesome because in a little bit, we're going to have a trade paperback of Doomsday Kingdom. All 5 issues. You can read the story all at once. And I would love to hear honest opinions about it. And I think that's important because there's a way you will know when you get to the very last page of issue 5 if you like the kind of style I'm using telling the story, or maybe if you like how the story's unfolding, because it is definitely different than the standard story structure where they would give you something different, for the final page. But it would help me a lot to know if people dig that or they want me to kind of trim it back a little and do it a little more how Hollywood and other comic writers write it. Because again, it's nothing like, oh, that's so crazy. It's just what did I say before? A lot of the first volume, a lot of writers in the comic industry use it to close a door, but my first volume, the ending opens one, to a bigger world, a bigger story. In a way, I don't want to sell it or word it wrong, but I think I said something similar to that. But yeah, they use it to kind of close out, like The Walking Dead, for example. By the end of the volume, Rick meets his family, and then he ends up killing Shane. Wait, Carl kills Shane. He kills him in the show, but Carl kills Shane. So Shane is like the end of, they put all that, they kind of wrap a bow on it. I think that's where I'm getting at. First volumes do that. They tease what's coming, but they wrap a bow on something. But there's no bow wrapped on anything. We are straight like, look at everything we set up, guys. Guess what? It's all coming out. You know what I mean? It's all going crazy. All right, let me get going. Thank you guys for making Doomsday Kingdom what it is. We are now at 115% of our fixed goal. We will definitely be putting this out and making it happen. I would love for some of y'all to make some unboxing videos as well. Obviously, you're not going to be unboxing, statues and shit, but you're going to be getting the book. You can review the quality of it, and you'll have a little freebie in there. Almost definitely everyone's getting a freebie, as well as the premium quality upgrade that we did with the paper. So thank you very much for all the support up until now. And I will see you guys possibly at 10 o'clock for the very last, it should be one of the last on this channel, Last of Us 2 gameplay discussion videos. All right. I will see you soon.